Hi, my name is Volodymyr Vorobey. I'm director of the economic development agency PPV Knowledge Networks. It's a Western Ukrainian Lviv-based agency, and I'm glad to welcome you to this course about creating value in creative economy. Markets and value chains. Cultural organizations and creative enterprises quite often do not think about themselves in market terms. What do I mean by market terms? When someone is asking you, what markets are you operating on? Some of the organization might think, oh wow, that's not about me. I mean, we are creating some great cultural products. Markets is not about us. In fact, it's not true. All of cultural organizations and creative enterprises are operating in certain markets. So, and what are the market? Market is a system where parties are engaged in exchange. So who are the parties? It's buyers and sellers. And what is the system? System is infrastructure, relations. It's also systems which are put in place by governments for markets to operate. And who are the buyers and sellers? Well, it's customers of cultural products, and sellers are the cultural organizations and creative enterprises, just perhaps as you. And if you think about creative enterprises, it's okay to think about market terms. Architectural bureaus are providing services, it's paid for, and there is a market for services of architectural bureaus, indeed. But then what about theaters? There is also a market for theaters. Some of them can be private companies, some of them can be governmentally funded companies, and it's also the market for performing arts. So make sure that you are okay to answer the question what markets you are operating on. There are different ways to look at the markets. So what types of markets do exist out there? First definition is a geographical markets. That's quite easy, in fact. Yeah? We're operating either at the local level, so we're a local theater company, or we're operating at the national company because we have such a great impact at the country level, and we look for audiences nationwide. Or we can in fact look at the European level. So we're so big, such a big company, and for instance, for many creative enterprises who are even small entities, small and medium enterprises, SMEs or micro enterprises, and micro enterprises are those that have less than 10 employees. They can operate at European markets. Don't be too humble. Think about what is your geographical market. Secondly, and second way of looking at things, it can be product or service market. It's also called verticals. What vertical you are in. If we think about the product market, it can be fashion items. If we think about products, it can or services, let's say, it can be services for PR agencies dealing with publishing industry. So specialized vertical that the companies are operating in. Companies, it can also be cultural organizations, cultural operators. And the third way to look at things, it's the sector or industry level, or so-called horizontal level. And here we're talking about indeed those more familiar to us definitions of market. It's the literature, it's the cinema market, it's fashion, it's design, it's performing arts or visual arts. These are the horizontal markets, industries. So when you face a question, what markets you are operating on, you should not be afraid of this question, and you should be ready with an answer. You should tell, let's say, that we are operating in the Western Ukrainian festivals market, or we are operating at the European home decoration market, or we are operating at the Ukrainian literature market, if you're a publishing company, or Ukrainian books market. So do think about which markets your organization operate, and then the next question comes, so how the markets are organized. And that's the interesting question of value chain comes. So on the markets, players are organized along the value chain. What is a value chain? Value chain is actually the chain where different organizations add value for a customer to receive final product. So essentially, at the beginning, we have the input. If we're talking about cultural and creative industries, we're talking about creativity. There is a creative idea you start with. And then you add value and transform this idea into the final product. And that's our output. In the creative and cultural area, we would talk about the cultural product. So we start with creativity as input and end up with cultural product as output. That's something we as customers then finally paying tickets for. That's something that we consume. And do not be afraid about the term consuming cultural products. Consuming culture, it's great. In fact, we should consume more of cultural products, and it means that there should be more of these various, interesting, multiple cultural products and services on the markets. And then it's easier to think about value chain in practical terms. Let's talk again about the theater company. So we have the author of a great play, so there is a creative input, but it's just a manuscript with text. Then you need someone who would, like theater company, that would make an interpretation of this text and produce a play. But in order to produce a play, that's, let's say, somewhere here, you need designers, you need set designers, you need lighting specialists, you need the whole set of people for the play to take place. And then what about the venue? Well, the venue should also be there, and it's provided by maybe another organization. Maybe the theater company rents this place. So we start with a manuscript, then we add all these value chain links, and we add organization that add value. Then we have the final product, and you might think, okay, this is it. That's what consumers consume. No. Because we need to buy tickets in order to get to the theater. And here you might have an online ticketing service where you would actually buy the ticket for your theater play. It means they also add value to the customer, because that's how we want to buy tickets in order to see the performance. So it means they are also part of the value chain, and we have here the artistic input, and then we have the cultural product at the end. And you see how many multiple players are assembled in the value chain. And what is important, when you pay for the price of the ticket, all these actors should get their cut, because they do add value to the customer. And that's essentially a sense of value chain. Thank you for watching this course. I hope that you enjoyed it and you learned something new and useful for further work. Please know that there are some additional information, cases and materials and useful links that you can check just below this video. Thank you and bye.